Las Vegas Bowl, and more Sun Devils have opted out from playing. A pair of ASU's football players will be playing in Senior Bowl games, and ASU's men's basketball took an L in a close matchup against San Francisco. We're discussing it all on today's episode of Locked On Pac-12 podcast.
You are Locked On Pac-12, your daily podcast on the Pac-12 Conference. It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of a Locked On Pac-12 podcast. Thank you for making this your first listen every day. It is free and available on all platforms. I'm your host, Cindy Robinson, and joining me today is Richie Bradshaw from Locked On Sun Devils. Richie, thanks for joining us per usual.
Of course, it's always my pleasure to come on.
Yes. Today's episode is actually brought to you by Sonos. Sonos is the official sponsor of ESPN College Football. So go to Sonos.com to learn more. Today, we are discussing a little bit of football and a little bit of basketball. Football is still looming over our heads when it comes to the Sun Devils because they still have a bowl game to get prepared for. While there's not a lot to talk about in the preparation of the bowl game, there is some news that has dropped here and there. And one of that being that there are some players that have opted out from playing in the bowl game. ASU will be playing in the Las Vegas Bowl on December 30th against Wisconsin. Wisconsin, right? That's right.
Yes.
Okay, yep. I'm like, me and my double checking. But they'll be playing in Allegiant Stadium. A few games have now been played in Allegiant Stadium from the Pac-12 championship game. And I know that was a huge one for Utah and Oregon to play in. And from what I hear, the Allegiant Stadium is great. A great atmosphere. So definitely will be an exciting game for ASU to play in. But unfortunately, they'll be playing without a few more players. We already knew that Rachaad White had opted out to prepare for the NFL draft. There's talks about Chip Trayanum probably not playing because he entered the transfer portal. But now joining him as well has been Chase Lucas and Jack Jones. And so that's a big blow to ASU's defense. Major players in their corner core. Is that right?
Yes.
Defensive back core. We'll say that. And so I just want to know from your standpoint, like, again, this is one of those things we've talked about where opting out makes sense for them in preparation for the NFL draft. But it's a blow to the team in a sense.
Oh, definitely. I mean, those are two of like the five best players on that defense that you're going to be missing. And unfortunately, they're both at the exact same position, both being corners. And your secondary is definitely going to be a lot just hampered because you're missing those two guys. The only bright side and silver lining here is Wisconsin struggles to pass the football. They actually had more interceptions than touchdown passes this year. Okay. They remained a power run team with their freshman running back. I believe his name is Braylon Allen, but he's an absolute monster. So they're going to be relying on him. The good news is, as of today, Darian Butler will be playing in the Las Vegas Bowl, and the rest of that defensive front should be there and intact, which means that we should be close to 100% on trying to stop the run. And with a passing attack that really can't get anything going, you're going to be able to take care of that. As far as Rachaad White and Chip Trayanum, it is going to be really hard to overcome those losses. Those are your top two running backs and two of your top three rushers from this season. Trying to get Daniel Ngata up to speed as the starting running back could result in some growing pains. But at the same time, I do really, really believe in Daniel Ngata to be the future of this backfield. It's going to be really nice to see what he can do now in the lead role for the team. Overall, I think that these losses were expected. Mm-hmm. I definitely didn't think that the three players who have opted out would end up playing that game. I anticipated those guys. I anticipated Darian Butler to also miss, but it sounds like he is going to be playing according to azcentral.com, which we checked that today just to double check and fact check that.
Yeah.
But yes, of course. And as for Chip Trayanum, he is transferring. I don't think he has picked a destination yet, but either way, if I'm him, I wouldn't want to play. I would just kind of wash my hands with it. And it's not like Arizona State really did him wrong or there's bad blood between them. It's just there's opportunities elsewhere for him to get the touches that he believes he deserves, and I believe he deserves as well. So those four being gone, kind of anticipated.
Yeah, I think it's a little murky as far as Chip Trayanum goes because when Herm Edwards spoke to the media, he did not mention his name when he discussing the players that will be sitting out from the Las Vegas Bowl. Maybe he has some hope that he can like convince him to play and finish out with them. Maybe even change his mind about transferring. Who knows there? But like you said, getting Nagata those opportunities early, well, basically getting a head start on preparing for next season and seeing what they have to work with when it comes to that running back core.
Yeah, I mean, I think you summed it up perfectly because ASU does love to run the football, and I have a
Yes.
hard time believing that they're going to get away from that moving forward, even with losing two of their top guys.
Yeah.
That's their identity. It's their bread and butter. It's what their quarterback is good at. It's what they did as successfully as any team in the Pac-12. You
Yeah.
definitely don't want to get away from that. So it's going to be important to get the guys behind Chip and behind Rashad the touches so
Yeah.
that you can find out what you have in the backfield.
Yeah, 100%. All right, coming up next, we'll be discussing a few of those players we mentioned earlier, more about what they'll be doing in their post ASU careers as they prepare for the NFL draft. Huge stuff coming from some of these players. So, yeah. um, I've been telling you all about Prize Picks, and if you still haven't signed up, what are you waiting for? In addition to the college football action, Prize Picks makes college basketball more exciting. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. They're the leader in college sports daily fantasy, and they offer more college football and basketball props than anyone in the world. They also offer all the star players of the Power Five, as well as mid-major players that you might not have ever even heard of. Prize Picks offers any prop you can think of in basketball. You can play points, rebounds, assists, threes made, and more. All of the users that deposit and use the promo code will receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Just be sure to use promo code locked on. You pick 2 to 5 players and an over under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry. And it's just you versus the projected numbers. Prize Picks allows mixed sports entries, so you can take the over on Embiid, combine it with the under on Rodgers, all in the same entry. Use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. PrizePicks is safe and offers fast withdrawals. So don't hesitate. Check out prizepicks.com and use promo code locked on, or go to the App Store and download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Thanks again for making Locked On Pac-12 your first listen every day. Make sure to check out the Ultimate College Football Playoff Preview 2021. Local experts, betting advice, and draft analysis. The most comprehensive college football playoff preview begins this Friday. So, Richie, we've been discussing Rachaad White and how he's opting out of playing in this bowl game to prepare for the NFL draft. He actually has another bowl game that he will be playing in. Won't be with his team and won't be representing necessarily ASU, but more so I'll say a way for him to showcase his skills one more time before entering the draft and before, fully finishing college play. And that will be at the Senior Bowl. I guess it's the Reese Senior Bowl, right?
Yes.
They haven't changed it. It's
Yep,
the Reese
that is
Senior
correct.
Bowl held in Mobile, Alabama. And then Darian Butler, someone else you mentioned that will be playing in the Las Vegas Bowl, is going to take advantage of another opportunity to showcase his what he can bring to the NFL, and that will be in the East-West Shrine Bowl game. So for people who aren't familiar with the East-West Shrine Bowl game, it's almost just as great as playing in the Senior Bowl. It's giving players an opportunity one more time to showcase how good they can play. On top of that, it's like a chance to meet other players that will be coming out the same year as them, play with other people that, not necessarily their team that they've played with all season long. And in my opinion, it's a great way to build relationships. They may not be looking at it like that, but I always saw it like that. You spend a week or so with these players that you don't typically get to know unless you might have played against them when you were younger or throughout your college, time. But great way to know some people that could be your future teammates.
Oh, it definitely is. The Senior Bowl for Rachaad White is going to be absolutely huge. The Senior Bowl is the closest thing to an all-star game that you're going to get in college football. And it's one of the main events that occurs between the offseason and the NFL draft. It's one of the main staples. It's probably like first base, and the combine is second base, and then pro
Right.
days are third base, and then the draft is a home run. So
Right.
this is the first big step for Rashad White. As for Darian Butler, I mean, it's not the biggest bowl game in the world. It's definitely a step down from the Senior Bowl, but nonetheless, it's another kind of like all-star game, putting that in quotes, where
Yeah.
they're gathering the best seniors that are kind of the scrap pile from the Senior Bowl, putting them together. But I mean, they have put together a lot of high quality players. I mean, I took a look at the list, and obviously these are the most high profile guys, but you've had guys like Will Shields, a Hall of Fame guard. Tom Brady has played at the Shrine Bowl. So
Right.
it's not like the Shrine Bowl doesn't put in players. It's just the Senior Bowl is a little more like higher profile, but nonetheless, I mean, Darian Butler's a really good get for them. I thought Darian Butler probably would have been in play for the Senior Bowl, but
Okay.
the unfortunate thing is in years past, you could go from the Shrine Bowl to the Senior Bowl because of the dates that were set up. But
Right.
now that there's been a 17th game added to the regular season, the Senior Bowl has been pushed back a week, as has the Shrine Bowl, and now they end up getting played. The Shrine Bowl will be on the 5th of February, which I believe is a Thursday, and the Senior Bowl will be on the 7th of February, which ends up being a Saturday. So be really, really hard to go from one bowl game to another bowl game within a 2-day span, especially trying to avoid injury and all that good stuff. So super excited that Darian got to the East West Shrine Bowl. I just personally wish he got to the Senior Bowl, if for no other reason than I'm going to be down there and I wanted to see him in person one more
See,
time.
you're over here being selfish now. You're doing it for selfish reasons.
Totally am. But it also would have been really good for his draft stock. Senior
Right.
Bowl is, like I said, that's one of the main stops during the process. I do get to see Rashad White, though. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Well, I'm looking at the list for the East West Shrine Bowl, trying to see if we see some other names on here. And while I'm looking, I am seeing some other familiar names. Now I'm trying to figure out, okay, make sure I'm looking at this correctly. So some other Pac-12 names that I'm noticing on here is Stanley Berry Hill, someone you guys will be familiar with, playing against Arizona. Looks like he'll be playing, as well as Thomas Booker from Stanford. That's what I'm kind of shocked about, because he is someone usually that I would think would have made the Senior Bowl as well. He was a great talent for Stanford, but nonetheless, like you said, it's still an opportunity to showcase how, what you can bring. I'm seeing Washington's Jackson Kirkland on here, Arizona State's Kellen Deesh. Did you know this?
I did not know about Deesh, but that's another really solid ad for them. He was very good tackle for us over the last few years and good run blocker. I mean,
Yeah,
you kind of
yeah.
have to be in that offense, but he definitely was exceptional and one of the reasons that Rashad White saw so much success.
Yeah, okay. And then there's a few names on here from the Pac-12 as far as the offensive line goes. Oregon's George Moore, Utah Bam's Olaseni. We have Washington's Luke Wattenberg. And then I'm seeing more names. Hold on, because I want to get them through. I feel like this is stuff we need to know here on Locked On Pac-12. So yeah, Thomas Booker, DJ Davidson is on here for nose tackle.
Arizona State.
There you go. And then Colorado's Carson Wells is also on here. Then you have Colorado's Nate Landman, name we are very familiar with. And then you also have ASU's Chase Lucas and Jack Jones on the list. So it seems like ASU has a good representation of some of their players in this East West Shrine Bowl game. For you Sun Devil fans, might be something worth checking out, seeing some of those players that, see their last chance and attempt to improve their draft stock before the combine and any pro days. Sorry. That's what I'm trying to think of. Like, what am I thinking of right now? So yeah, they'll have plenty of opportunities, one more time. If they're not going to play in the bowl game, the Las Vegas bowl game, they at least have the opportunity to play in this bowl game and showcase what they can bring to the next level. I didn't know that there was that many players in there from the Pac-12, let alone ASU.
pretty good representation. And I mean, those are a lot of quality players too. So good for the Pac-12.
Right. Pac-12, I'm telling y'all, stop sleeping on the Pac-12. It's about
Conference of
time.
Champions.
Give them their respect, right? Hello.
Yes.
Okay, coming up next, Richie and I will dive into men's basketball. It's been a little bit of a struggle for them, but hopefully as they get ready for Pac-12 play, things turn around. We'll hope, okay? We can only hope. BetOnline has you covered all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season continues the march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code Locked On to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline is where the game starts. Now, this holiday season, make sure you grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar or even better than a candy bar. That's Built Bar, filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, and high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. There's so many flavors, you'll have a hard time choosing. Will you have raspberry or mint brownie, cherry or double chocolate, cookies and cream, or peanut butter brownie? Want to cozy up with something warm? Here's a holiday secret. Dip your Built Bar into a piping hot cup of cocoa, let it melt a little, and give your beverage a bit of that Built Bar flavor. Plus, you'll have a nice melty Built Bar to go with it. Be sure to have a couple napkins on hand because it'll definitely get a little messy. And you know what goes better with cocoa than marshmallows? There's a marshmallowy treat when it comes to Built Bar Puffs. They're light, fluffy, and marshmallowy through and through. Different flavors, all covered in chocolate. Tastes so good, you won't believe that they're filled with protein. Go to built.com and use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. That's LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. All right, so we've been focusing on football, trying to close out the season, but basketball is definitely taking over, and we're getting closer and closer to full-on conference play. I know ASU has already faced some in-conference opponents, but it's been, a lot of non-conference play that has been the bulk of their season so far. ASU has been in that still developing stage, right? They have talent there. It seems like they just haven't got a grasp of how to really execute in finishing out a game, I would say. A lot of the matchups that they've lost, we've seen the scores be really close. And that definitely is the case in this last matchup against San Francisco, where they literally lost by 1 point. It was 66-65. So, Richie, what is standing out to you about this team when it comes, we can go pros and cons, just so we can give a full picture of what's going on with the Sun Devils.
There's definitely a lot more cons than there are pros. So
Okay.
let's go ahead and start with the negatives first, and then finish up with the positives to end on a good note. So, what the biggest thing that stands out is Marcus Bagley is still injured, and he was supposed to be your star player coming into this year, and you've just been missing him for close to a month now, I want to say. And it definitely shows. And you have had guys like DJ Horn step up, and DJ Horn has been terrific. Where Darian Butler was the mascot of the Locked On Sun Devils football aspect, DJ Horn is the mascot of the Locked On Sun Devils basketball portion. Me and Connor love DJ Horn, and he's been a godsend for the team, but he can't do it on his own. Marion Jackson continues to struggle shooting consistently. I mean, it's just hot or cold, and more often than not, it's cold. The bench has been really solid. Jay Heath really stepped up yesterday when Luther Muhammad missed a lot of the game. Muhammad only played 9 minutes, and Heath came off the bench, and I think he led the team with 35 minutes. But it's just there's resolve with this team. These guys have stepped up, but they don't have the killer instinct to finish those games, put their foot down on the gas pedal, and finish strong. They let these teams stick around too long, and they lose by such close games. I mean, short of like when you lost to Baylor by a handful of points. I mean, the rest of these games have been very, very close. ASU just really struggles to finish out strong and put teams away. They let them linger, and that was the case last night with San Francisco. Is I want to say they had a 9-point or 10-point lead at one point, and San Francisco had come down and just was consistently draining every shot that they had. They ended up getting a lead, and DJ Horn did his best to put the team on his back and drive down the court to get the winning layup, but he missed. There was an offensive foul, and the game's over. So
Yeah.
it's just there's these little mental errors that need to be cleaned up because they're just adding up too much, and ASU is almost beating themselves. Like these are games that they should be winning. There's a handful of games now where you could easily have a winning record. You could be 7 wins or maybe not 8 wins, but you could be 7 wins because you get that UC Davis win, you get the San Francisco win last night. Look at that. You're 7-5. I mean,
Right.
You're right in the thick of competing for the bracket, but as of right now, you're definitely out of it. And it's hard to think that they're going to come out of it. They play USC tomorrow night, I believe, and that's going to be a world of hurt for the.
Well,
Sun Devils.
they play Florida A&M tomorrow, and then
they do.
Yeah, it's Florida A&M tomorrow.
Yeah,
and then they have
one more game.
a little space before they hit the tough. Yeah, Connor and I talked about this last week and how there's going to be a tough stretch of Pac-12 play for them, starting with USC, who is currently ranked number 8, and then going to UCLA, ranked number 5, and then Arizona, ranked number 6. And so it's going to be a tough stretch for them. Then after a few more Pac-12 opponents that they'll face, they kind of go through the same cycle again and have to face Arizona, USC, and UCLA back to back. So it would be ideal to capitalize off the games that they can, because those 3 for sure are going to be the toughest matchups. Now, I still wholeheartedly believe anybody could lose at any point, right? Like, I'm not someone who's like some teams are, well, there are some teams that are just unbeatable, but I don't think that any of the teams in the Pac-12 are that per se, but you have to come with your A game. You can't be slacking in, certain areas, and it really can't be the minor detailed moments that become an issue, because those are the type of opponents that will capitalize off those small details that you're messing up on.
Yeah, I think you summed that up perfectly. So you were really hoping with this 4-game stretch of non-conference play that you could have gotten out of it 4-0. But there is the opportunity to be 3-1. And that's a really good case scenario if you can clean up against Florida A&M tomorrow night. That you really need to. You can't afford to go 2-2 in this series, because once you get to Pac-12 play, there's a very high chance that you just get buried because you're so far behind the needle with the rest of this competition. And who knows, maybe when Marcus Bagley does eventually return, that ends up starting a positive trend and you start trending in the right direction, because he is the best player on this team. Like, we have absolutely felt his presence, or lack thereof, on the court. So adding Bagley back could potentially get them trending in the right direction again, because they're not winning the Pac-12. We don't expect them to, but we were hoping that they could flirt with top half of the conference, and that potential is still there. I'm not ready to write them off.
I think it's still early, it is. And there's a lot that can happen. We also have the looming threat of COVID-19 still upon us. And we don't know how, things are going to happen. We're seeing in higher levels of pro levels of the NBA, the NFL, there's a lot of players having to opt out of playing games. There's been a lot of games canceled. There's been games canceled within the Pac-12 as well. So there's a lot happening. We're hoping, obviously, that the season continues and is able to finish out. But again, you never know what team might have to have players sit out, and it might just work out in ASU's favor or whatever the case may be. We're never hoping for that, obviously, but it's just realistic of what is happening in this time. And this is why I say at any given moment, anybody could be on top, because there's so many different circumstances. Injuries come into play, sickness, as we see with COVID-19 being a big thing, just all types of things. An off night for a player, you just never know. So fingers crossed for you guys.
Yes, 100%. Send us all the good vibes you can, Cindy. We need them.
Look, as long as you're not playing SC or Washington State, I got you.
That's fair. That is totally fair.
I got you. Okay. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Richie, and giving us everything we need to know about the ASU Sun Devils. You guys can check out Locked On Sun Devils with Richie and Connor every day on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts, Monday through Friday. When I say every day, my bad. You can also check them out on Twitter at LO_Sun Devils. They're very active on there, making sure you guys are up to date on everything ASU athletics. You can follow Richie on his personal handle at Richie Brads with the Z 36. And then you can follow Locked On Pac-12 at LO_Pac-12 on Twitter. Catch us on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure you check us out on YouTube. You can like, comment, and subscribe there. A lot going on. So make sure you guys stay locked on the Pac-12 on Locked On Network. But thanks for making Locked On Pac-12 podcast your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms like all of our podcasts. So thanks for tuning in today, and you guys enjoy your Monday.